If you're on a condo board, you've probably heard the reserve study term thrown around, but do you actually know what it is, how it actually does happen? So let me walk you through the step-by-step process for putting those together and generating the report that you need as a board for budgeting purposes. So first, a reserve study, you're hiring a third-party engineering company to come out, evaluate your infrastructure. They're going to be sending out an engineer to the property to evaluate everything. So it starts with a conversation, typically between the board of directors, maybe a point of contact who is pretty familiar with the infrastructure, the community management company, have his representative, often the community managers involved in that, and then the engineer. They'll have a video or audio meeting where they're going to be talking. The engineer is going to have questions. They've obviously, by this point, reviewed the master deed, bylaws, governing documents. They have an understanding of who is responsible for what. And then they're going to be asking you some pointed questions. Hey, what do you want me to focus on? I'm going to be coming out there next week. Do you want my eyes trained on any particular thing? Hey, what's the last time you replaced the roof? How old is the brick? How old is the paint job? Where do you want me to focus my efforts as an engineer when I come out? Now, they know what they're doing, obviously, but they don't know every single detail about the property. So there may be stuff that's hidden. Like, I'll give you for instance, there was a community that had a reserve study, and one of their biggest problems was inside the roof. They had an insulation problem, that the insulation was one of those blown-in insulations, and it was like 3 or 4 feet thick in certain areas and 0 feet thick in other areas. So they had really lumpy insulation issues that was causing ice damming to occur, fascia damage, foundation issues, even in this case, because they had some dripping coming down during the winter. It was, bottom line, it was a hidden issue. The engineer's not going to be able to figure that stuff out unless you tell them. So they're going to ask that kind of question. You have to be prepared to tell them the answers that they're looking for there. So that's a responsibility, not only of the management company, but also the board, to make sure that if there is something that the manager may not be aware of, that the board can fill in the gaps. So you have this conversation. Maybe a week or so later, the engineer comes out, evaluates the infrastructure, and then they walk away. You don't even know that they're there. They're just a person walking around with a clipboard. If you didn't know they were coming out that day, you wouldn't even see them. They're just typically one person coming out. They go away back to their office. Usually it's in another city. In some cases, they're in the local market, but in many cases, they're coming from a few hundred miles away. They go back to their office. Maybe a week to 2, 3 weeks later, they're going to come out with a report. The report's going to have all kinds of photographs in it, some details, and then it's going to convert all that stuff into financial projections. Those financial projections are adjusted for inflation, so they're doing their best estimate of what the inflation is going to be over the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Reasonably easy to do. There's some historical precedent in that, but what I'm telling you is that there's estimates in here, as there is with any projection. All right, so your work isn't done. They come out with the report, 50 pages long, give or take. The management company gets it. They forward it to the board. The management company reviews this. Now, the board of directors has to be awake. You have to have a point of contact on this thing. That board of directors member, who's the point of contact, presumably it's one person, should be meeting with the management company, going through the report. If there's anything that they see that's obvious, jumps off the pages at them, needs to be adjusted, in their opinion, they usually have on the order of 30 days. After that, the reserve company doesn't want to hear from you anymore. Their work is done. But you have the right to object or request changes within that 30-day window, and they definitely want you to do that. Their purpose is that of a consultant. They want to give you a workable product that you can use for budgeting purposes, and it's your job to interact with them. No consultant that works in a vacuum can generate a result for a client that the client is going to find useful. So keep thinking about these people as consultants and treat them like that. And so now you've got your report, and from this point forward, it's up to you to use it or throw it in the garbage can. It's up to you. But you have done your part as a board to get that report, and you know the process now for getting that done. We won't go into the usefulness of the report, but I wanted to walk you through the basics because a lot of boards, from my experience, don't even understand how these reports are put together. And so now you know the step-by-step process if you're not familiar with it already. If you found this perspective valuable, I invite you to connect with us. For our Instagram viewers, hit follow and feel free to DM us with your questions or community challenges. YouTube viewers, subscribe to our channel and check out the video description for links to our website, where you'll find our published works on community management, board excellence, and our unique management philosophy. Whether you're dealing with the challenges we discussed today or other community issues, we're here to help. Visit our website to discover our thought leadership content, books, and resources that can transform your community management approach. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.